This isn't just a lesson on how to deal with prison. It's a lesson on how to deal with life, one that I'm guilty of forgetting all the time. As long as I'm not locked up, there's always hope that I might win the lotto, or that my girl might introduce an exotic bird into the bedroom. But that shit's never gonna happen if you're in jail. I'd been involved in selling drugs since I first smoked weed when I was 13. It just made sense to me that in order to have money to use the drugs, I'd have to sell some too. I never thought I was doing anything wrong. My entrepreneurship put smiles on a lot of faces, and I did it better than most people because I showed up on time and I wasn't a greedy, lying scumbag. I was gonna show you this Suboxone real quick. That's what I brought this up. Yeah. This is the biggest jail drug right now. Suboxone. It's like the new methadone, basically. And it costs about $5 in the street. When you break it down into jail, especially the people with no tolerances, heads who've not touched it before, one pill of this shit will get 16 heads wrecked. You guys help yourself. There was lots of fighting in my house growing up. Like when I was young though, but they say lots of times that's like where you get formed is like your really early years. Like before you can even remember lots of times. My oldest brother, him and my dad used to like go at it, which was weird for where I grew up in Connecticut. It was a pretty nice area. The cops used to get called out to the house and shit for fights, and I never really had like a chance to do what I wanted to do, which who knows what that would have been. This is actually from my bid in my last bid, my 06 and 07 bid. But you could send anything except bondage. Anything violent is now what they've outlawed. This is the crazy thing. I don't think anyone reads porno mags anymore, except dudes in jail. I can't imagine who else would. As a kid, I attended elite prep schools, played hockey year-round, and wound up getting accepted into Skidmore College, where, smooth as silk, I kept selling narcotics, mostly to my fellow students. Yeah, that's my bitch right there.
Brett, is that the car that's the car that they used to take us in hockey games with?
No, we traded that one in. That was 93. This is 98.
Ah. But it was a Quest, right? It was the same.
I ain't gonna lie to you. That's why I started selling drugs, to put a sound system in that bitch. So y'all should probably hop in there to hear that shit. Boom, boom, boom. I ignored the illegality of what I was doing and didn't care about my well-being enough to investigate or even pay attention to the laws. But as I soon learned, the law was paying lots of attention to me.
Oh, what's this now?
It's some cocaine. You ain't gotta film that. Well, I'll just eat it then. Get a nice numb gummy. No, this is my release though. I come here a lot and think about my poetry. On a seemingly normal Friday night in February 2004, I got tagged by an undercover cop who looked like an upstate trailer park stick-up kid. The pigs had a search warrant, and they took me back to my crib to rifle through my head stash, which was substantial enough to get me charged with 5 felonies. 2004 was an election year, and the politicians in Saratoga Springs, where I was living and dealing, thought the town had a drug problem. The district attorney who prosecuted me probably figured nabbing a college student involved in a drug trafficking ring from New York City was a good demonstration that the city was tough on crime. They made an example out of me. I was sentenced to 3 to 9 years in state prison. I was 23 years old.
What'd they catch you with, coke?
Dope.
Weed?
No, fucking heroin, yeah. I started doing that shit like an idiot.
Buddy.
I don't know. That's kind of what these guys have been doing with me though, like seeing if we can act together and hopefully it'll be a happy. It'll be a happy story.
I'm like, Brett, I want this to be a happy story.
I know, by the
Positive
end,
story.
By the end, I hope it will be, man.
Brett and I went to school together. We went to college together in Skidmore College in Saratoga Springs. So, there's a good amount of drugs at Skidmore, and kids get into selling, doing it and selling it, and it's kind of funny because you know, most of these kids are pretty well off, so it's like, why do you need to sell drugs? We ran into each other at a bar and, you know, just started kicking around some ideas for Bert writing and what he wants to do with his fancy college education. Then I heard he got picked up again, violated parole, and got sent back upstate. Total, what did you spend? 5 or 6 years in the pen? 7.
Some of that was on work release, which is a little bit of relief.
Yeah.
But it's been fucking with my life since February of '04. Really, I've been on paper, in jail.
Well, here's a fucking idea. Don't do heroin.
Yeah.
Don't get caught. You know, when you get out of prison, you know, I've never been to prison, but I would imagine it's when you get out of prison, it's like starting over. And you're starting over and you're, you know, 30 years old, 31 years old, and you're 10 years behind everyone else. Like, that's gotta suck.
I had a shitty resume. I still had a resume somewhere. It's pretty shitty. Yeah, here's my resume. It doesn't really exist, is the problem. Being like 32 years old and, you know, I'm still talking. I got like, most of my space is like what I was doing in high school.
But yeah, this is going back to '97.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly.
You know, at work one day, I get, you know, a letter in the mail, and you know, you don't get too many handwritten letters at work these days. And I looked in the back, and it was, you know, like Ogdensburg Correctional Facility or something, and I was like, oh, I know who this is from.
John Martin like threw this big old letter, and he was like, I think this guy could like write something for us.
I like writing my little stories, little articles and shit. And I think as long as I make it decent, I bet they'll put it in the magazine. On Friday, I had an article posted from Vice. An article where I wrote a letter, like a pen pal style letter to some female inmates. Just like an introductory letter, like, hey, how you doing? You know, want to be a friend? And it was like funny, it was kind of like tongue-in-cheek kind of shit. And I guess he read that one. And this guy named Paul Stewart, he got Over the Edge books, and he basically hit me up on Twitter saying, your shit got me open, let's do a book or something like that. Yeah, the cameras are on, I can turn them off, it's no big deal.
No, look. I could take a running start and go and jump on your dick and tell you that, you know, you're like this generation's Hunter S. Thompson or Charles Bukowski or something
Wow.
like. Okay.
All right, man.
Have a wonderful weekend, man.
All right, you too.
Thrilled to be in business with you.
Well, thank you so much.
Oh, man, thank you. We'll talk soon, okay?
All right, take it easy.
Okay.
Bye.
Later.
Wow. I still don't believe that shit. He was saying that shit was funny, so he knows like I'm kind of a clown with it.
Right.
You know, and to me, that's the most important part to me. I like to put a smile on people's faces, but, you know, also realize that this is a fucked up world where, you know, I can get put behind bars for so long for like, basically farting in public. Since my first arrest, I've gone back to jail 4 times. I got caught doing things that the paroled are not allowed to partake in, but ordinary non-offenders take for granted. And they all sent me to prison, no questions asked. Drinking a beer, driving a car, being out past curfew. Oh, here it is. These were my girlfriends for literally a year. I had her up. But it gets sick though, you know? Like, I refuse to be the porno dude, so I tried to tone it down. But it becomes disgusting though, cause like you lie down in the bed every night and you look at your wall and you're like, hey babe, how you doing? It's nice to see you again.
Like you literally start talking to them?
Me, I'm not as bad as lots of them, but like, yeah, you kind of do, cause when I was doing this too, I didn't have a girlfriend. You know, like Ivana completely took my mind over. And she rode most of this bid with me. Oh, I didn't show you guys my click clicks.
What's click clicks?
Fuck, I didn't show you none of them. Like, dudes get pussy off of these. You send out click clicks, and that's how you get pussy. You know, and that was me and my girl when this bit started. You could see how short my hair is. I had a 2-year sentence, and you know, and I made it through it. It sucked, you know. She went and did what she had to do a little bit, and I just had to sit there like, well, I would have done the same thing. Let's get this party started. I'm gonna learn some things about how to do shit in jail. Getting ready to make some jailhouse hooch, some prison liqueur, AKA Pruno, AKA get the fucked up. In upstate New York prisons, lots of people will put it into bottles and let's make little personal batches. Really all you need is some fresh fruit on your tray. You might get an apple a couple times a week or an orange a couple times a week. So you save those up. Obviously a knife works better, but we're a bunch of criminals, so we can't get away with that shit. You can usually buy some pineapple chunks. Fruit cocktail comes on your prison trays, so you save that up. Sugar is the most important ingredient. That's really what cooks it and gives you all that alcohol. Makes it taste delicious. As far as juice goes, you might get some OJ, cranberry juice. They come in like little jailhouse cups and you just save them up. So you get some bread like this and you toss it in there. There's a couple vehicles to get it in there. But we're gonna go with a sock. That was my preferred method back in the day. I know yeast is for beer, but this is just something that they always tell me to do. Now we have all these beautiful ingredients combined, and it's ready for showtime, man. It'll take about a week. I think ideally we'd want maybe 2 weeks. And of course in jail, we don't have patience, you know, we want it now. So usually, I don't think I ever let a batch go more than 10 days. But this is the sock with bread in it. I mean, I know it's strange, but that's going in there too. It's been a week of fermenting and tender loving care. And this is the big payoff. It's delicious. Overall, it's quite sweet. If my name was Robert Parker, I would give it an 82. Yeah, I think it's a Monday. It's a Monday or a Tuesday.
What did I forget?
That's my court date.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and it could be a really, really bad day. And even the case manager was kind of a dick. He was like, yeah, if you come in clean on the 30th, you know, we'll just do outpatient. But he's like, you're on basically like thin ice. If you fuck up once, you're gonna go to this rehab. And that to me is just a nightmare, man. Like I can't even describe to you guys, and you've seen it in movies, how therapy groups go like that. I just don't understand how that's supposed to help people. I really don't. You know, when I want to stop, I'll stop. And it's pretty much that simple. And then they'll always say you can't do it on your own. You know, willpower's not enough, which might be true.
Drugs don't interfere with my life. Drugs don't impede me. You know what I mean? Drugs are not a problem for me. That's one statement versus I've been through it, or I tried things, nothing, you know, doesn't work, or it doesn't matter, nothing helps, or it's all bullshit, or something like that. It's not uncommon for addicts to have gone through a number of options, and they're cynical about it, you know what I mean? They think it's either bullshit or it hasn't been helpful, and so on. But the fact that they have actually, for one reason or another, have gone through those options is information, is data to say, well, wait a minute, there's something we can do with that one.
I'll be in it though. I'll be in this rehab shit for a long time, but like the bottom line is just don't do drugs and I won't have any fucking problems, you know?
Right.
Seems pretty simple, right?
You know, is it better to live life in some psychoactive state, or is it better to live life in some sober state with the raw nervous system suffering the way it does? You know what I mean? You know, the brain suffering, the aches and pains of living suffering. I happen to be on the side of, you know, we gotta live it raw, because then I'll never know what life I've lived.
But this could be a blessing, me getting arrested a couple months ago, because it's really gonna make me stop.
Because for me, my value system, I gotta live and die. I wanna make sure I've lived and died with this life with my eyes wide open.
I find it odd that people always say that the first telltale sign of a drug addict is denying they have a problem. From experience, I can attest that this is fucking annoying, because you can't win, even if you really don't have a drug problem. The counselor calls you a drug addict because you're in prison for drug charges. And if you say, yes, I am an addict, you're a good addict. But if you say, no, I'm not addicted to drugs, then you're still an addict, but now you're a troublemaker too.
Do you think it'll ever be over for good? Well, that's with drugs.
I don't know, man. I really don't. It's tough. I like drugs.
So when was the last time you did it?
Very recently, but I mean, I've already put in my. I'm gonna do it again too. Like, I've put in my head though that April 25th is my last day. I'll probably get a bag of coke too. I'll probably get a bag of weed, and just get fucked up and.
This is what, that's like 3 days.
Yeah. All right, we'll do. See you later. All right, bye. That's always nice when a lawyer actually calls.
That was your lawyer?
Yeah.
What did he say?
He just said go check in at probation first, basically like get piss tested.
Okay.
And hopefully they'll say, all right, that's cool. We'll just recommend the outpatient. Then I go up to the court, and probably the judge will say that's what it's gonna be. I drink quite a bit of water just to be safe, but I should be good. Yeah. I mean, like, that's why usually in the past, I mean, I still probably cut it close, you know, but in the past I cut it a lot closer. I figure giving myself 100 hours is pretty safe. But yeah, I'm about to go piss now, so.
How you feeling?
I feel pretty good.
Good luck. I hope it works out for the best. Yeah, man.
Thanks for going out, man.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass for you guys.
Nah, no doubt, dude. This will be good.
All right,
All right, Brett. Good luck, man. Call me later.
Before I pissed dirty, my dad had been pleading with me to absolutely 100% always follow the dozens of strict rules parole had placed upon me, and told me to consider the difference between courage and toughness. But no dice. They slapped the cuffs on me then and there and took me to jail. I sat there with unpleasant reality setting in. I ruined everything again. Now I had to spend weeks or months replaying the unwise choices I made to end up back in jail. I pray I finish parole soon, but I probably won't. I've made a million promises and broken them all. It's an all too familiar reality that's the result of my disease. The disease of dumbness.